When I was a casual, I thought as a casual, I spoke like a casual, and I looked at boxing like a casual. But when I became a hardcore, I put away all those casual things. This is Michael Rogers, and welcome to Bodywork Boxing.
Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. And I have been following the Andrade story, for quite some time, because a lot of people have been saying that everybody's ducking him and nobody wants to fight him. And I did a video not too long ago where I said Andrade may be dropping the belt instead of facing his mandatory, because it's an up-and-coming guy named Janibek Kanuli, a vicious puncher. Definitely a big threat, and I was just waiting on confirmation as to see where this saga goes. And I was saying, man, Andrade might be trying to avoid this ass whooping because he has not been facing the big competition. We haven't seen him against the Korobovs. We haven't been seeing him against anybody. We just got Quigley, and it was a rumor that Eddie had sent over $10 million for him to fight Charlo. And I'm like, okay, let's think about it. Caleb Plant got $10 million for a unification. A lot of people didn't even think he deserved that. But I was questioning whether or not Charlo would really turn down $10 million. And I stay on Eddie's helmet all the time, because I see through the smoke and mirrors. Yes, he's an excellent promoter. He promotes fights, and I think he caters more to the European market and, the non-US fighters, and he gets marquee fighters. He pays them handsomely. But then he's never really good at sealing the deal on the other end. Fortunately, he bid on the Cambosas and Tio, and Triller wet the bed, and that fell in his lap, so it kind of gave him some prestige here recently and kind of built him up. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just saying, I gotta look through the smoke and mirrors, because we see and hear this a lot with Eddie. And everybody say, oh man, stay off of Eddie, and they recommend a fighter to go over there. But I'm like, you can't say that in one video and then turn around in another video and say, oh man, Andrade's getting done dirty. It's like, what's the common denominator? It's Eddie Hearn. So yesterday I came across an article that was written on the 21st of December by SB Nation on Bad Left Hook. And the article reads, Andrade and Janibek scheduled for purse bid on January 15th. The WBO Mandatory Middleweight Championship purse bid was announced as a little end-of-the-year business before the holiday break. This article is by John N. Hansen. It says, late last month, the WBO ordered middleweight champion Andrade to face their number 2 ranked challenger, Janibek, in a mandatory defense. Representatives from Matchroom on the Andrade side and Top Rank for Janibek failed to negotiate terms within 20 days. So the WBO has officially announced a purse bid scheduled for January 15th, 2022. Any promoter registered with and in good standing with the WBO could submit a proposal to promote the fight as a part of a sealed deal process. Section 11D of the WBO regulations can't seem to agree with itself on whether the mandatory deposit to the bid on the fight is $1,000 or $2,000. But other aspects of the process are more clear. WBO regulations set the split at 75-25 in favor of Andrade, unless the winner of the purse bid elects to hold the fight in Janibek's native country of Kazakhstan. In that case, Andrade could take 80% of the purse bid. That Janibek would get 20%. The minimum bid for the fight is $200,000. Terms of the process also require the bout be held within 90 days of winning the bid. Under that rule, if the purse bid is resolved on a currently scheduled day and time, the latest allowable date for the fight would be Friday, April 15th. If Andrade refuses to fight Janibek, the WBO could declare the belt vacant or order an interim title bout without him. Andrade, 31-0 with 19 KOs, was last seen on November 19th, knocking out and overwhelmed Jason Quigley in 2 rounds. Janibek, 11-0 with 7 KOs, fought one night later as a part of the Terrence Crawford versus Sean Porter undercard, stopping Hassan N'Dam in 8 rounds. We've seen this in past instances where promoters finally found the proper motivation to negotiate a deal once the purse bid process was initiated. But in this case, there was no request for an extension to the 20-day negotiation period, which isn't a promising sign for any agreement outside of the mandatory purse bid process. What comes next? Will Matchroom and Top Rank make a deal before January 15 purse bid? Will PBC expecting blockbuster returns on the January Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin and February Keith Thurman versus Mario Barrios pay-per-views snatch up the rights to this fight and schedule it as a March pay-per-view? Will Triller buy it, then stage it in a fun and exciting new shape for a ring? Or will Demetrius Andrade elect to drop the belt and pursue mandatory challenger status at 168 pounds instead? The author, offers for thoughts and comments to comment on the article. My question is this: doesn't this seem eerily familiar? And I say on Eddie Hearn's helmet because he would have a guy like Devin. He has a guy like Andrade. Andrade couldn't get a Triple G fight. He couldn't get a Canelo fight. Eddie was on record, on camera, actually talking to Andrade's mom defending Canelo. And I'm like, okay, well, if it's Matchroom and he's on your label, why is he not getting these fights? But it's similar to the whole thing with Bud going, Bud and Sean Porter. Now, a portion of that was Top Rank because Top Rank didn't want to really play ball with PBC. We're not going to get into the whole Bud saga, but it's eerily similar where these guys are highly touted as being so dangerous and nobody wants to fight them. And here we go with a guy like Janibek, just like we had Sean Porter. We didn't know Sean Porter was 1 foot in, 1 foot out on retirement, but I digress from that. But a guy like Janibek coming up, a hungry lion searching, and he wants to fight the champion. But they couldn't get the deal done. And it's odd that it's even a question. If Andrade is so good, it's odd that there's even a question as to whether or not he would entertain this fight or go through or whatever. I mean, he's getting the lion's share of the money. Everybody say, oh, Eddie has the bag and this and this and this. I can't reason that Janibek gonna want too much money. So it leads me to ask the question, is Eddie failing Andrade? I mean, it's clear cut he is. Like, why would this have to go to purse bid? And it says a lot. If Andrade dropped this belt, it says a lot. He might be a wood nickel. I have nothing personal against Andrade. I just don't like the whole slander that Charlo gets for the likes of an Andrade when they say Charlo, who was a 2-division champion, who was in line for Canelo and Canelo bounced out, and he's been doing this thing. He had a broken hand, so, typically that requires 6 months. I think he fought in June. So we right on par for him to come out and make an announcement now. But Andrade gets all the clout, all the credit. Oh, they don't want to fight him. Oh, Charlo, what is he doing? Why he won't unify? Triple G won't call out his name. But then they give Andrade none of this slack. They just say that, oh, nobody wants to fight Andrade. I'm like, is that really the case? But so everybody's so busy drinking this Eddie Kool-Aid. Oh, he's the best promoter. But it's like we see these things all the time. But we want to give him credit for stuff that's not really happening. We want to praise him for people like what he's doing with Devin, which, yes, I give him credit for getting the JoJo fight. But it's a history of these kind of things going on with Eddie and him promising and him saying everything in front of the camera that would lead you to believe that these fights should go on. But here we are at a standstill, getting ready to go to purse bid. And I don't think neither one of these guys are breaking the bank. Andrade has the upper hand. He's the champ. And they couldn't come to agreement. Now, can we fight Top Rank? Maybe. Maybe. Last time when it came down to Bud and Sean, at the last minute they asked for an extension and they was able to get it done. But similar situation, because the Top Rank guy is the guy that is on the lesser end of the purse. So I don't really see how they can kick up too much dirt, other than Janibek being, he's sneaky good, and a lot of people don't really know too much about him, but he's very dangerous. And I think that this is just a big challenge for Andrade. And once again, this is where the rubber meet the road, where Eddie keeps saying blah blah blah. Yeah, we'll do this, or we want to make the best fights, but here we go with a stalemate. I'd be curious to know what everybody's thinking. And I want to stop hearing all this stuff about how I'm all hard on Eddie and all this. It's like, no, because you're telling us one thing out in the public, and then we're not being delivered, and you are mistreating Andrade. Andrade is a grown man, and he decided to sign over there. But this is kind of sketchy as to why this fight ends up going through. But we'll see when they have this purse bid what happens. I'd be curious to know what you think. That's it. That's all. Body work.
All right. I believe you. But my Tommy gun don't. Get down on your knees and tell me you love me.
My word, and I do what I do. He knows what I'm about to tell him right now. It's Mr. Keep running your mouth. That's what I do.
I just feel like I'm the champ, and at the end of the day, I'm just a fighting motherfucker. It doesn't matter. Inside, outside, I can just fight. So I just feel like if it gets down to the wire, and we gotta lock it up, I'm out on top.
Hey, look, as you can see how I'm looking, I stay solid. I'm always solid. I stay fucked solid up, man. You know what I'm saying? To the fans and all that.
You jump outside the ring in the fighter, like I said before, ain't no safety on the top, so